My mentally unwell mother-in-law suddenly needs surgery where we live after finding out I'm heavily pregnant and is demanding that we house her. Posted by you/Healthy Names Together. First time posting, so bear with me, it's a long one. A little backstory for context: I'm 8 months pregnant, and we already have a toddler. We moved about 4 hours away from my mother-in-law shortly after our toddler turned 1. My husband found better work here, and we no longer had to deal with my mother-in-law showing up at our house multiple times per week to help with our toddler. Win-win. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law have one toddler and live less than 5 miles from my mother-in-law. My brother-in-law has a different dad than my husband, who has since remarried. My sister-in-law has both parents, who live about 15 miles from them. My husband's dad passed away when he was 12, and both of my parents have also passed. This makes my mother-in-law our children's only living grandparent, which comes into play later. Around 4 months pregnant, before we had told anyone we were expecting, my mother-in-law started acting more erratic. She somehow wrecked her car's tire, completely splitting the rim in half. She was later found walking around her apartment complex barefoot in the middle of the night, claiming she was looking for her dog, who was inside her apartment. Then, she started beating on her neighbor's door around 2 a.m., enough to cause significant damage because she said she needed a phone charger. We assumed mental health issues or that she had started drinking again and deemed her unsafe to drive. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law begged us to drive down to fix her car and take it back with us until they figured out what to do. They worried that if the car were at their house, she would just take it back. So, we drove down, fixed the car, and brought it back with us, where it has since been killing a patch of grass in our yard. About a month ago, things seemed to have smoothed over, so we told my brother-in-law and sister-in-law we were expecting. We asked them to keep the news to themselves until we were closer to delivery, but they told my mother-in-law shortly after. Lesson learned. My mother-in-law immediately spiraled. Suddenly, she needs a surgery that can only happen where we live. She told me she had scheduled the procedure and would need me to pick her up and take her to the appointment because we have her car. Turns out, this appointment is just with a specialist to determine if she even needs the procedure. She scheduled this appointment for next week. I let her know I was summoned for jury duty next week and had a doctor's appointment of my own, so I couldn't miss more work. At this point, my mother-in-law started pulling in my husband's aunts to repeatedly call him, insisting there's no reason we can't pick her up over the weekend and let her stay at our house until the appointment. Of course, my mother-in-law agreed. They argued that none of this would be necessary if you hadn't essentially stolen her car. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law refused to drive her more than an hour closer to us and insist we should just give her the car back so she can drive herself home. We told them we aren't holding her car hostage. If they drive her here, she can have it. We have enough to worry about as it is without adding my mother-in-law to the mix, but we can't make a round-trip drive down there. Last night, my husband called her and asked if she could at least reschedule for September, when we'd have more time to figure out the logistics. She refused. Why? Because if she doesn't get seen until September, she won't be able to have the surgery until after I've had the baby. My husband pushed back, saying she wouldn't be at the hospital with us anyway and wouldn't be seeing the baby until she's vaccinated, regardless of where she lives. She started screaming that he's never done anything for her, that our children deserve to have grandparents, and that if we won't take care of her when she needs medical attention and are going to keep her away from her grandchildren for no reason, we'll regret it, etc. My husband got upset and told her she wasn't the problem, but the timing of the appointment was, and she should reschedule. At that point, she called him a hateful bastard, so he hung up. We haven't heard from her since, but we have heard from the aunts again. They still agree with my mother-in-law that we are in the wrong, that we should step up because she's the only grandparent our children will ever have, and that it's the children's job to take care of their aging parents, etc. Ironically, they aren't giving the step up and take care of her speech to my brother-in-law or sister-in-law. Are we wrong here? I feel like once we agree to let her stay even a day or two, she'll come up with more reasons why she can't leave. Then what? Relevant comments. Commenter. She's nuts, and you're pregnant. There's no way she should spend even an hour in your home. The rest of dear husband's family just doesn't want to get stuck with her craziness. Listening to them is like getting legal advice from someone you're suing. It only serves their interests, not yours. Ops response. This is what I told one of his aunts when she asked, "What's the problem with her staying at your house?" I replied, "What's the problem with her staying at yours?" Commenter 2. And the reply from the aunt was what? Also, she called her son a bastard? Does she know what she called herself there? Ops response. She said it's not her place because it should be us stepping up to take care of her, adding some of the "this is the only mom you're gonna get" guilt herself. And yes, it was his mom who called him a hateful bastard, but she definitely didn't see it as an insult to herself. My husband said she had never tried to use his dad's death against him and couldn't understand why she would go that far over being asked to reschedule a doctor's appointment. Commenter 3. You can probably hire a bonded driver to drive it back to her, it might be cheaper. A dark thought does cross my mind, though. Have the car checked by a mechanic before you return it to her. Heaven forbid she gets into an accident, and then blames you for sabotaging her car while it was in your possession. Personally, I would have a relative drive it over and drop it off with a brother-in-law and sister-in-law since it was their idea to have you take it in the first place. Give it back to them and let them deal with it, you have enough to do. Ops response. Oh, that's a very good point and something I could definitely see her doing. We will definitely have a mechanic look it over and provide us with something on paper stating the car's condition. If we don't take it to the aunt's house, we'll definitely be dumping it at my brother-in-law's house. Update 3 weeks later. So, my mother-in-law's appointment was 2 weeks ago. She stayed with Flying Monkey Aunt, and my husband and I took her car to the aunt's house. I stayed in the car with our toddler while my husband walked right past his mom, who was waiting for him in the driveway, and went straight to his aunt on the porch. He handed her my mother-in-law's keys and said, "We still don't feel that she is safe to drive, but if you do, you can be the one to give her the keys back." We had taken the car to a mechanic, who performed a multi-point inspection and provided us with a report stating that the car was in excellent condition. The only thing it would need was an oil change in 1,500 miles. Her appointment was the day after we returned the car, and it was with a stomach doctor to have a feeding tube placed. Head Flying Monkey Aunt called my husband after the appointment to inform him that the doctor wouldn't proceed with the procedure but said he would reevaluate in 2 months if her symptoms changed. I doubt that's what he actually said, he likely just told her no, but okay. My husband sent my brother-in-law a picture of the mechanic's report, told him we were done providing any future assistance, and wiped our hands of the whole situation. Fast forward to this week, my husband has been out of town all week because he was able to relocate with his job. They're covering all our moving expenses, the first 2 months' rent, the whole 9 yards. No one knows yet, as I've left it up to my husband to tell them when he wants. He says he doesn't want to tell them until we're already moved and settled and that he doesn't want them to know our exact location, just tell them the state we're in. We're beyond excited. A moving company will be coming 6 weeks after the new baby is born. We just have to make it until then, but we'll be gone by Christmas. This past Monday, the first day my husband was gone, he got a call from my brother-in-law saying that my mother-in-law is claiming she needs 4 new tires and new brakes. My husband called me after and said he laughed at him, asked if he wanted another copy of the mechanic's report, and when my brother-in-law said no, told him it was his problem to worry about now. Everything was peachy until last night, when my mother-in-law sent me a text that read, "Hey, how are you doing? I have missed you so much and would have come to the car and talked to you and toddler if Aunt was not so afraid of her children getting COVID. Love and miss you so much. Please call me when you can, love. I have called you a few times and just got voicemail. I know this part of pregnancy is difficult, but I am so excited. I'm staying with Aunt a week before your due date and until I can see baby." I could have screamed if it wouldn't have woken my toddler up. I haven't responded to her, but I sent a screenshot to my husband and told him to handle it. He told me not to respond at all and that he doesn't want to reach out to anyone until he's back in town tomorrow. He says responding now is exactly what she wants, and we're not going to give her a chance to twist our response into us agreeing that she can see the baby. I see his point. It's not like she knows where our house is, but she does know which city we live in. I guess she could just drive around aimlessly looking for our car? What I'm really looking for is advice on how to phrase our response to make it perfectly clear that she is not welcome at our house, both for her and for his family, because they'll inevitably get pulled into this next. Relevant comments. Commenter. Is it just me, or is the mother-in-law's appointment in 2 months close to your due date? That seems convenient, doesn't it? Ops response. It's also convenient. Everything is on her timeline, exactly what/how she wants it to be. Most of what she says is so contradictory that it drives me mad. When I finally heard that this appointment was for a feeding tube, I couldn't believe it. Who wants to sign up to have a feeding tube placed when they can eat normally? Second update 3 months later. We've done it. The baby was born at the end of October. My mother-in-law found out in early November and called my husband, saying how sorry she was that she missed it because she was in church. He literally laughed at her, told her he had to go, and hung up. My dear husband was planning to just ignore texts and calls from his family so that he could still be contacted in the event of a true emergency, but that plan was short-lived. The head flying monkey called to say that my mother-in-law would be coming to our house to see the baby for a few days the following week and would leave after her doctor's appointment. She had made another appointment for a feeding tube after the first doctor refused to do it. My husband remained so calm. He just said, "We've moved out of state, And when she started asking for our new address to send gifts for the baby, he simply said that we didn't need or want anything from them, had to go change a diaper, and hung up. We moved that following weekend. So far, we've enjoyed a peaceful Thanksgiving, a wonderful anniversary, and are ready for a Merry Christmas, just the four of us. My husband blocked his family with the exception of his brother. I didn't want to push him to block anyone, so it's nice that he's come to this conclusion on his own, and our future looks so calm. Relevant comments. Commenter. Congratulations, I love reading the threads where the ops and their spouses actually do something about the problem. You and your dear husband are awesome. Ops response. 6 months ago, I was talking to / texting my mother-in-law every day. She would start calling around 5 or 6 a.m., and it was so hard to break away from that. 3 months ago, we felt so enmeshed, borderline codependent on her. Even though the daily calls and texts had slowed, it was hard to think clearly. Today, we feel free. Instead of worrying about a fully grown woman, we're able to focus on our growing little family. All that to say, it's a difficult process when you're going through it, but it feels amazing when you're able to cut out the toxic. Commenter 2. My mother used to call me very early in the morning, for example, 5 a.m., when she was old and needed some trivial assistance, such as changing a light bulb. She called on the landline, everyone else used the mobile. So, I unplugged the landline every night. I was certain she would be able to get herself to the hospital if it was an emergency. Her phone had a big button with a red cross on it, and that button dialed emergency services. Ops response. Similar for us. She would call and say something like, "Happy Tuesday. I'm sure you've got to go to work, so you're probably about to get ready," which led to at least 30 minutes of her talking about what she was going to do that day, asking what we were going to do that day, how our night was, etc. It was such a draining way to start my day, especially because I didn't actually have to be up until around 7 to get to work.